Hey everybody, I'm Robert and welcome back to Horseshoe Mountain Ranch. Well, today we're going to do some prepping of a brand new trailer. We don't get much new stuff here at Horseshoe Mountain Ranch. In fact, this is only like the third brand new item in the past 10 years. And we sure needed it, because our last trailer was falling apart. 50 years old, rusted away. So this ought to do everything we need to do. Now that we've downsized our cattle operation, we don't need a giant trailer anymore. We just need to be able to haul a couple at a time to the sale. But it's going to be instrumental in hauling goats to shows and things. This is a Good Guys brand Rancher series. And this is pretty small as cattle trailers go. It's only 14 foot and it's only 5 foot wide, which is narrower than most. Most are 6 or 6'8". We don't need that space to be able to haul goats with, and it's gonna help being able to get into those crowded fairgrounds and places where shows usually are, and easier for a half-ton truck to pull. And being narrower, you'll be able to see around it in your mirrors, which makes all the difference in the world. Yeah, if you've got a big truck, you got them big mirrors that stick way out, yeah, you can do it. But what comes on these half-ton trucks, well, leaves a little to be desired. They're fine for just driving down the road for your daily commuter, but just not really set up as a truck. Now, even though I've upped this truck's game by adding these overload springs on it, a brake controller, and on my big trailer I use a weight distribution hitch, but this little trailer won't need any of that. But what we've got here, like I said, twin axle, brakes on one axle, one divider gate. Sit up in here, we've got this one divider gate, so you can block some up in the front and have some in the back. The door here on the back has got the slider so you can back up to a chute to load cattle, or you can open the whole tail end of it. Depending on your situation, what works best. Sometimes you can back up in a corner by a gate and just open the back end and run them in. You know, talking with cows. Kind of unusual for a little trailer like this. It came with clearance lights all the way around. I checked and everything works. Of course, they're all LED these days. Came from a little joint called HJ Trailer Sales, right there. I was supposed to give them a shout out because they gave me a pretty decent deal. Of course, you know, before COVID, a trailer like this would have been maybe $4,500. Guess what they are now? Pert near $8,000. And that's why it took this long for us to ever get one. The other thing here, we've got an escape gate on the front, which is done pretty well. Our last trailer had one of these, but it was this high off of the floor. And so, yeah, you could get out of there, but boy, that first step was a doozy. So this should work really well. She can like take a billy goat to the show and have him in one end, have the nannies in the other end. You know, you don't have to worry about anybody getting bred at the wrong time. But you know, even though it's a brand new trailer, in my opinion, it's not ready to use yet. But you're saying, but Robert, it's brand new. Surely it's ready to use. No, it's not ready to use. You've got to check the air in the tires, put grease. You know, you don't know how well they grease these axles. And so luckily all these newer trailers come with greasable axles. It's pretty easy. You just, usually I use a screwdriver, but you just got a grease fitting right here. And now that you can buy wheel bearing grease and high temperature grease and stuff like that in tubes, all you gotta do is put it in your grease gun. Where used to, you had to take the wheel off, hub apart, all that kind of stuff to grease them. This makes it a lot easier. So you've got to do that. Other pivot points, you really, every place that moves here on this suspension really needs a shot of grease somehow. And now that you can get grease in aerosol cans, like, well, here WD-40 even makes it nowadays. And you can get that up in there and get a bit of grease up in there. Even if it doesn't do anything but stop it from squeaking, it's worth doing. And the other thing I'm going to do before it ever gets dirty is I'm going to put my treatment on the floorboards here. Even though, yeah, they probably used what's considered treated wood. You and I both know that stuff they're treating them with these days ain't no good. I don't care what brand it is. Now that they're saving us from ourselves, the EPA and all them, the stuff they're using just ain't no good. So what I do, I save my used motor oil, and it makes an excellent preservative. These boards might be here after your grandkids are gone. We get enough of that on there. But that's what we're going to do. Luckily, it's a small trailer. It won't take me too long to do it. But I'll get started on that, and then I'll show you the progress. Okay, guys, I've got the floor all treated. And, you know, if you didn't know any better, you'd have swore I used a store-bought stain and sealant on this of some sort. Looks pretty good. Maybe it'll look better from this other door. Depends on the lighting. Here in the shade, there ain't a lot of good lighting. But see, it looks pretty good. And the more I spend the time to look at this trailer, the better I like it. I noticed it's got 2 rings up here to snap in leads on horses, if you were hauling horses. One thing I've never seen on a trailer before, on door hinges and stuff, it's got grease fittings here. And on this door. And here on the back. This door in the back. 3 hinges. All complete with grease fittings. And then, but for some reason they didn't do that on this latch. I don't know why they didn't do it on this one too. But even the divider gate in the middle has got them on it. It's also got a little rest here for this to stick on, the divider gate. And up there, it's got a little place for it to rest on when you have it shut. Never seen a trailer with that before. The other thing, normally, these slider gates, this is just rubbing on metal here on the top. Right here on the top of this thing, it's just steel on steel. And usually every time you go to use one of these trailers like this, you got to hit it with WD-40 or silicone or something to make it where it'll even halfway slide across. This one, they put rollers on it. They look like they're homemade circles of steel, but still, it's rollers. I never seen anybody go to that kind of trouble to do that before. The other thing they did, I looked over when I was putting this oil on and noticed this chain laying here. I go, huh? And saw this piece here. This is so when you got your door closed here, see if I can do this with one hand. Yeah, that you can reach through here, grab your chain, put it around here. Here again, see if I can do it with one hand. Not really. And like that. And then you've got a little extra peace of mind that that gate isn't going to slide open on you. I mean, there's a lot of times I used to bungee stuff and cords, rope, whatever to do the same thing. But here they thought about it ahead of time. So that's good. Greasing the wheel bearings, it took a lot of grease. Luckily, I wasn't one of them people that just said, oh, it's a new trailer, it's ready to go. But the way you do these things, you pop this rubber cap off the end here, and then you've got a grease fitting right here in the end, and you pump that until you start seeing the old grease, or the other grease, start coming this way, and you can see it in there. And then you're done, and you pop that little rubber cap back on. Usually you gotta have a screwdriver or something to do it. Yeah, I can't do it with one hand, but you know what I mean. But the one thing you'll really want that's so helpful on the farm, I've probably shown you this before, it's one of these DeWalt grease guns. Probably any of the electric ones will do it for you. But man, it makes it so much easier. That, and get you one of these ends for it that clip on like that, something along them lines. There's several different brands and styles. That sure makes it go easier. I really hated to spend the money, and a couple years ago they were like 150 bucks. I was like, nah. And so I waited and waited, and then they went up to $200 when I got mine. So sometimes you can be just too cheap for your own good. But all I got left to do is check the air in the tires, and I lubed all of these suspension parts under here with an aerosol grease, and then on some of the other things I used either a silicone lubricant or a what they call a dry lube. And you know, nowadays there's no excuse for not lubing everything. You've got so many easy ways that you didn't used to have. Even the connector for your trailer lights, you know, this one was so hard you couldn't even do it. Sprayed it with a little silicone, worked like new. So all in all, guys, this is a pretty good trailer. Hopefully it'll last us as long as we're able to use a trailer. So, but I think we're going to call that good for today, y'all. Thanks for stopping by Horseshoe Mountain Ranch. And if you get the chance next time, stop on by. I'll leave the gate open for you.